Well, how do you think it would affect representation of African Americans, for instance, in the Congress? Instead of having a majority-minority district, you'd have a proportional system. It might be that there might be fewer minorities in that system, wouldn't there?
I feel there would be a greater representation of minorities because it would give chances for parties who could be based on a racial minority or any sort of minority to have a chance to be represented and be part of Congress.
What do you think the ideal size of Congress should be to have representation? The original constitutional provision called for which was about one per 30,000. That'd give us about 10,000 members of Congress today. What's the ideal size to get representation? Do you like the one we have, or would you advocate something else?
I think that although obviously 30,000 constituents per district would not be feasible, I think that it would be helpful to increase the number of representatives because as we have it now, there's about 700,000 constituents per district, and there's no way that one representative can know the needs of all of those constituents. So I think by increasing the number of representatives, we would increase the likelihood that a representative can better know the needs of the constituents.
However, I disagree. I feel that the size of our Congress now is adequate because of the emergence of media and the fast-paced way our world is today. There is ways for congressmen to keep in touch with their constituents. I personally have written a letter to Senator Claire McCaskill about a cause I feel very strongly about, and I got a personal response, and I feel that congressmen are very much interested in hearing what their constituents have to say, and so they call town hall meetings and they have staffers who work for them so that they can adequately represent those 700,000 people.
In addition, to go along with my colleague, the House right now only has 435 seats. So if we were going to have to get more representation, we'd have to build a larger building and put more seats into it.
Good point. You were talking a little bit, oh shoot. What a great conversation. Thank you very much. When did we start?
All right. I really enjoyed talking with you guys, hearing what you had to say. We got a good, it took a little while, but we got a very nice dialogue going. And that is sort of the model of what we're looking for when it comes to participation. And it doesn't always happen. And so the team has to know a lot to be able to do that. And you have to be able to think on your feet. And that speaks very well for you that you were able to do that. That's very strong. You made a lot of good points in your opening statement. This is the first one, so we didn't know exactly what you might say. And I thought you did a good job of talking about the benefits of our system and the differences with the parliamentary system. The vote of no confidence is key, and you brought that back in the follow-up questions. You didn't just drop a citation here or there. You explained everything that was, why it was relevant to what you were saying. That's very important. In some of the follow-up questions, I think it's very important to listen precisely to the question and answer exactly what you're being asked. So if you're asked which of the systems is better with respect to resignation, you should talk about which is better and not about the history of impeachment, for instance, because it's just not, it's not exactly what the question is calling for. I liked, though, some of the discussion about whether you vote with your constituents or you're a trustee. That's very important. You had a good understanding of that. You made other, some of these questions are no right or wrong answers. I was going to ask you whether you favored abolishing districts. It's actually constitutional to do it. It's just by statute now. But you beat me to it, so that was wonderful. So I think you really did a fine job. You clearly deserve to be in the top 10, and you should feel great.
I thought your opening remarks were very good. I think you answered the question very well. More specifically, Grace, I like your conception, your talk about the parliamentary system. I thought you conceptualized that very well. When you brought up Davis versus Vandermeer and the Shaw versus Reno, I thought I caught you off guard, but then you gathered yourself and you got that they were both equal protection cases. They were both 14th Amendment. One dealt with partisan, one dealt with race, but you still handled that quite well. And Alex, I liked your talking about your advantages of the parliamentary system. You brought in Margaret Thatcher, the labor controversy. You've talked about gerrymandering in the state of Missouri and how in the Jefferson City they make, when they draw the lines, the Democratic districts get more Democratic, the Republicans get more Republican, the districts 1, 3, and 2, but also 9 has been changed dramatically. I know that personally. Talking about impeachment, Alex, was Andrew Johnson, not Andrew Jackson.
I realized that.
And I think you knew that, and I've made that mistake myself, just a slip of the tongue. Talking about Bart Stupak and the problem he had, and talking about Claire McCaskill. But Claire McCaskill doesn't come up for re-election right away, does she?
It's true.
That may make a difference in whether you're a trustee or delegate. Leah, I liked your the willingness to talk about changing perhaps the size and maybe that majority districts may not be the best. You're willing to take that, and of course Grace disagreed with you on that. But proportional representation. One of the things, and Alex, you're absolutely right. In 1911, they stopped it at 435 because there are no more seats in Congress. You'd have to build a bigger building. You're absolutely right. So there's nothing magical about that size, and so I think you did a wonderful job. I know you're very well coached, and so congratulations. We're very proud of you, Missouri.
Thank you.
I don't have much to add. They've hit all these points so beautifully, but let me take the opportunity to say that you did a really excellent job, and I would be very proud to have any one of the three of you representing me in these halls. So I hope you will look around and think of where you are. This is, there are not a lot of people who have testified in this room, and the people who have, as Mr. Ansel has suggested, are people who are in line to be judges. So perhaps you might think about being a judge or sitting on this side of the bar, but we all would be very happy to have you representing us down the road. And if you don't want to do that, think of state legislatures or being a lawyer, or use your intellect, because you've certainly shown that you have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.